Let's go. Forget engine sizes and batches, any rear-wheel drive can drift. It takes place on the hill and finishes up here at the top paddock. It's a winner-takes-all competition, and it's scored on these 3 criteria. 1, proximity, 2, time, and 3, style. Driver scores are added together and the highest score wins. James, do you mind showing us how it's done? Proximity is measured by sensors, and the cars have to be close enough to set them off. Time is measured over one section of the course. And style points will be awarded by the commentators. It's fast, it's skillful, it's wicked.
An incredible build, and we spoke about Ahmad DAHAM earlier on. A really nice guy, and he actually tunes a lot of engines in the Middle East. He's a whiz on the computer, a very, very good engine tuner. And for those guys, you just mentioned the tyre smoke down the back. Probably wonder why these guys are already trying to burn their tyres off. Now, that's because if we've been drifting, we rely on the front tyres heavily to have a lot of grip. So those guys go down the back of the grip, spin them around, warm up the front tyres, and there we go.
Well, same as the drag racer, you've got to get the heat into them. There are no tyre blankets, and Ahmad on his way. So this car, presumably acid dip shell, composite panels, full race Lexus engine. I mean, it's an absolute beast.
It certainly is. There we go. You can see Ahmad DAHAM now making his way. This is only the second run up the hill for Ahmad DAHAM this weekend. As we said, the car got stuck in customs, got it out late last night. Look at that, flicks the car on, sets off those sensors perfectly outside the house. Drops his wheels on the grass, doesn't knock the barrel over though, does a perfect job. Now he's going to enter into an area where there's a bit of freestyle, so he can do what he wants, he can impress the crowds, and as we said, the more influence we are by the crowd here at Goodwood, the more we will score him, and he's going to come absolutely flying down, keep that car on circuit perfectly as he comes past the commentary tower through Morecambe. Ahmad DAHAM not messing around.
Well, that was absolutely fabulous through Morecambe, all the camera phones up above people's heads as he goes past the crowds in the grandstand, and now it gets the tight part of the circuit, so you'd like to keep it in straight line, except if you're a drifter. Yeah,
there we go. You can see the LED strip along the front of the windscreen. That's done for scoring in competitions. That's to show the judges that he's using the foot brake. It's a left foot brake that car around the flip wall. Incredible talent now with the hand fishtailing his way up through the hay bales.
There was a fabulous shot just as he left the splint wall area. You can see a photographer in the background leaning back. Nothing too close, wasn't sure what was coming through the finish line, but it's not the finish of this run, of course. We've got that for the wall they have to get to, and then the finish. Ian, take us to the finish.
Yeah, there we go. So he's going to come up now. This is a little bit of a cool down area, get the drivers back in the right mindset, cool themselves down. Ahmad DAHAM just making his way quickly up the hill and towards this area. Here we go. So he's going to enter his way in, and he's going to be looking to get the back bumper of that Lexus RCF as close as he can to this wall. Now, some guys will get it slightly wrong and take that wall down, but we hope that Ahmad DAHAM, a very talented driver from Jordan, will make it through. There we go, already lighting up the tyres. Oh, see the way he used the foot brake there to hold that car on angle, gets himself nicely round the wall line, lights up everyone, and takes down the barrel. Too close.
He's gone and spoils it for everyone now.
Yeah, trying to be a little bit too greedy, parks the car. Now, I don't know about you guys.
That is action camera work.
I was fairly impressed with that, so I think they're going to go for a mid-score there of 500, so we will give him a score of 500 there in the middle. If it wasn't for the barrel, I think he would have scored slightly higher.
You were only supposed to blow the doors
off. We're going to have a little bit of a struggle, so here we go. Here's our second car already away from the line. And again, part of this is style, but Ian, part of this is just feeling the grip, feeling that he's got the temperature he wants in those rear tyres, so he knows where he's going to go when he gets to the scoring areas.
He certainly is, yeah, and this is Steve Baggsy BIAGIONI in this incredible Nissan R35 GTR. The engine swapped out for a Chevrolet 454 cubic inch LSX. Big turbo on there, and you can see Baggsy a little bit worried about hanging that Liberty Walk spoiler too close to that barrel. Now he's going to get into his favourite part. He says he loves doing a burnout, a rolling burnout in front of the grandstand as he makes his way up the hill, and Baggsy doing a nice job so far of that. You can see most of the barrels illuminated. He still has a few to go in this time section.
What's so fantastic, people are looking at the giant screens and then they have to look behind them because he's coming up and he's coming past them, get the cameras ready. The boot was flipped open. And super sideways through Malcolm, worth the price of the admission ticket alone.
He was just slamming the door there. I don't know whether he deliberately opened it to just see where he was or whether it had come open, but having to slam the door as well, mid-drift.
Yeah, look at that, flicking it. Flames coming out. That exhaust comes out the front bumper, flicking a flame up the flint wall there. Yeah, Bagsy, a real showman, loves it at Goodwood. Says it's the highlight of the year for him coming to Goodwood. And look at this, all the way through the hay bales. No messing around. The big, very big car, the R35 GTR.
Foot brake, handbrake. I mean, the whole thing just to get the angle of dangle that you want, and then, you know, then it's like every driver does, driving it on the throttle to keep that car's attitude stable.
100%, yeah. And these guys have to really use the throttle more than anything. They tend to use the clutch more to disengage the transmission so that they can keep the throttle going, so they can keep the turbos spooling, because they make such great horsepower.
Yeah.
I feel this cool down zone before that final tweak. The way Bagsy, he's so natural, but I think he's already thinking up a few bon mots for the interviews afterwards, because he is one of my favourite interviewees. Ed Foster will handle that. Let's see how he manages the ball. That looks cool, calm and collected. But will he collect the barrel at the top? It's been reinstated, the battery pack put back in place. That is how it's supposed to be done. So I think that should move him ahead. Ahmad DAHAM, but keeping him going. Number of times you go around?
Is it 2 or 3? They say 3 is the perfect amount, and you get nice and close to it. Then we go back to completely smokes out that pylon, parks the GTR perfectly in the spot. Job done for Bagsy. Yeah,
any more than 3 and he's really going to be in trouble, actually losing his bearing. Yeah, okay, here we go. So he's parked it, but yeah, once a drifter, always a drifter. Oh yeah, I've scored. Yes, fantastic. No, I've still got some tyres left. They haven't quite exploded yet. So
exactly that. And Bagsy knows that we always get a really, really good crowd. As Bruce said, if you're in attendance, make your way out the top of there. We're doing this every day so far on the weekend. You can see so much smoke inside the car, he can't see where he's going.
So all those people in the VIP dining area finding their coffee tasting not quite as exquisite as before.
There is a crowd there.
There is.
Guaranteed there is a crowd there.
So up next we have Axel HILDEBRAND in a brand new build for him this weekend. It's a full carbon Kevlar Corvette C6, a Chevrolet Corvette C6. Engine swapped out, the LS3 V8 removed, and a triple rotor PPRE Mazda engine fitted.
So is it a tube frame with a composite body that looks like a Corvette, or did somebody actually at some stage own a Corvette that this now is?
No, so these panels are made by a company called HGK in Latvia, and they basically make all carbon Kevlar panels for a whole variety of vehicles, allowing you to get these cars as light as possible. And Axel went above and beyond getting this car set up and perfectly ready for this weekend. You can see he's got the roof off. He said he's getting a bit warm out there now, so I can pop the roof off. MS UK said, not a problem, you're all safe and good to go.
Well, actually, as you saw him leave the start line, he was waving with his hand through where the roof should have been. No T-bar roof for him there, but again, the slowing down and spinning in the gap just by the paddock area. Past Goodwood House, hand out of the roof, just about picking it up there, but again, the pall of tyre smoke behind the cut, bellowing out from underneath.
I was talking about this yesterday. A few years ago, there was a phase where coloured smoke from coloured tyres was a big thing, and then it sort of disappeared very quickly as soon as it came. Axel apparently remembers those days.
Yeah, Axel does remember, and Axel said this weekend he's got a few different colours potentially coming out, ready to show off. And Axel fitted up a pair earlier on. He said, I'm going to just try and throw something else into the mix and try and impress everyone. He's got the red smoke tyres on there as he makes his way up. Very nice job from Axel so far.
Yeah, red arrows, schmed arrows. Smoke on from Axel HILDEBRAND.
And we can smell it in our commentary box. So everyone up the length of the course has a new smell in their nostrils. It's part of the experience. It's almost 4D here at the Goodwood Festival of Speed.
It doesn't smell red. It just smells like normal tortured tyres. So, all right, so score of 7 on the barrels on the way up past the house. The wall ride is going to be the next scoring element, and then the remaining lights, hopefully he will trigger with his run round the pylon. Did you add anything to the previous score?
Yeah, I gave Bagsy a 500 for his score when he got to the top end there. I felt like he maybe held back a little bit. There's more to give over the weekend. He said he wants to save the body panels on that GTR. And Axel HILDEBRAND, here we go, doing a wide swing around that barrel. Another guy who doesn't really want to damage the car too soon. You can see them lights illuminating, doing a good job. Almost gets it wrong. And I was impressed, but not that impressed.
Yeah, but I must say, not having the roof, it does help us and people alongside see into the car and see what he's doing and how hard he's working. But again, going around that top barrel, just the precision. The ground there slopes away across the plot, so that's another factor. Maybe he'll blame that for the parking schnuffle.
Well, and the other thing with your scoring is like these guys, you can't go too early. There's still Saturday and Sunday, and we know they're going to get better. I mean, Axel's only driven the car a couple of times now, so he'll get better. So if you go straight to 1500, that leaves you nowhere to go. and then how are they going to impress the judges? I already gave you a 10 out of 10. Come on, Sunby, what do you want? A 15?
Exactly.
Well, the answer obviously is yes, I do want a 15.
Now, Tetsuya Hibino was the driver who had the most problem with the barrels yesterday, and the car, though clearly being repaired, looks absolutely immaculate. But he was Ed Foster's dream interview yesterday. Director in his ear, go on, interview him. He doesn't speak English. Interview him anyhow. It's not a formula that works, but let's hope the talking will be done by Tetsuya on board.
Well, I think his body language showed how excited he was. The words didn't matter. You exactly knew what he was feeling and how he was expressing himself. So, you know, this is how he does his talking. And again, hand out of the cockpit, here we go.
Yeah, look at this, Tetsuya Hibino. This car running a quad rotor Mazda engine on the bonnet, 1400 horsepower. This is the Super Silhouette S15 from Liberty Walk as he makes his way around now. Hibino said he's got a bit of a feeling now for the grip and the track, and even though he still drops a wheel off, look at the pace he comes through there, absolutely flying. He said he's going to maybe miss a few of these barrels and just try and put on more of a show. Gets them ones absolutely nailed, and as you said, some new body panels on there. The team spent a long night last night repairing that car to make it look perfect for the crowds here this weekend.
I don't think he's worried about the score today. His scoring is very strong, actually, but the showmanship as well, that's exactly, you know, what everybody expects to see from their drift stars. They love a show, and the fans love the footing of it.
Well, that was the best flick to the left, flick to the right, into Malcolm, which does go to the left, notably, ladies and gentlemen, and up the hill he goes with all the tyre smoke behind him, up to the flint wall, getting it sideways on the wind. I wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't do that, Martin.
Backing it into the flip wall, reverse Scandinavian flip through. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, Tetsuya Hibino there, look at this, absolutely full throttle through, down, he comes up towards the finish line, no messing around, and he's done most of this run now, if you notice, with his arm out the window. It's a 1400 horsepower that literally wants to try and drive in a straight line. Hibino doing it all with one hand on the steering wheel, just goes to show you the talent that this young man has had.
Absolutely extraordinary, absolutely brilliant camera angles up the hill, catching just how close they got to the straw bales. You could see bits of straw flicking off the side, flicking out under the car, over the car. The car's seldom in a straight line now, we pull down, but then of course the focusing of the mind, the final sweep through that top paddock, a few 100 metres to go, still flaming out the Nissan Sylvia. Just, well, of course it's flaming out. You've got 1400 horsepower, it's got to go somewhere.
Again, that's all part of it. You know, they love the big sheets of flame as much as we do, so that's all part of how the car is built. And Liberty Walk, and they stand right behind our commentary position. They'll be very happy to talk to you about drifting and everything else if you go and talk to them. And again, look at that. He will actually just gradually shave that barrel until it's a little narrower than it started the day. And precision park, that is parallel parking. He passed his driving test with parking like that.
I think we're going for a 750 there, just for the style and for the risk of the one hand. The barrel donut for me was absolutely inch perfect.
That front splitter was so close on his second rotation. Clearly that's something that could collect. When I say collect, yes, collect. No, I didn't mean you had to do it.
Now, see, that was me trying to go round the barrel. That was me right there, getting it 100% wrong. Now, before we get that back into position, Martin Richards already on his way in this S15 Sylvia.
Yeah, no, I explained to Ben and Keith yesterday and this morning, this is more of a street-style car. So Martin damaged his car, unfortunately, out in the Middle East. Didn't have the time to repair it and get it done for FOS this year. So he's jumped into another car that Driftworks have. This is a Sylvia S15. Still carries the standard SR20 engine on the bonnet. It's a 2-litre 4-cylinder 16-valve engine. Produces around 500 horsepower. But this is what Martin likes to say is how you enter the sport. So this is simple roll cage, simple safety devices, but enough to get you involved in the sport. And I think he wanted to showcase this weekend. If there's any young fans out there wondering how they get involved with drifting, you can start off at this level.
Entry-level lunacy. Well, actually, you mentioned, you know, that Toyota's GT86, the last rear-wheel drive Corolla hatchback, was kind of one of the entry points when this sport originally started. And again, you know, an old 3 Series. That'll get, and you know, and a 3 Series is an enormously popular car for obvious reasons. Hugely tunable. You can start with a 1600, 1800. You can end up with a 3.5 litre 6-cylinder engine. It's hugely tunable, great balance, and available. You know, you can start very cheap.
You can start very, very cheap. You can start right from the bottom, and now the BMW is becoming very, very accessible with aftermarket tuning parts from. There's a lot of companies out there producing everything you need to get the job done. As we see Martin Richards now come past that camera.
And actually, one of the things about this car particularly, because it's got the vaned wheels, when he's locking the rear wheels, it's so evident because it's absolutely stationary, the wheel. It's not like a smooth rim where you can't see that it's locked. Here you can see every single time he's on the handbrake, locks the rear just enough to get it to move. It really shows kind of the workings of what he's doing inside the cockpit.
Exactly, you can see exactly what he's doing to make that car drift and how he's balancing that car. In European competition, they have to have a spoke on the wheel marked with a different colour so the judges can visually see that wheel locked. See Martin Richards make his way through that wall ride, picks up only 2 of the sensors. Now hopefully that pylon stays in place, and Martin Richards doing a nice job so far of illuminating those green lights, gets the top one going now, going to go for the park. And a nice job by Martin Richards.
Excellent stuff. I mean, not the wildest, most radical car, but again, the skill is so evident. And, you know, it's like all the drivers here, you put them in something absolutely bog stock, they still make it dance.
They certainly do. And we take a look back now at the start line, and we see Martin Richards' fiancée, Tess Whittock, in her Nissan Skyline R33, the Driftworks Monster Energy driver, making her way off the start line. Our female ambassador for UK drifting. This young lady's been all over the world, just recently in Uruguay doing some demo drifting with Toyota Gazoo Racing in the new A90 Supra. And Tess yesterday had a few issues, said she feels a lot more comfortable today. The first day nerves have gone, and now she's really out here to show everybody what female drifters can do. As Tess Whittock there just avoids 2 of those barrels. It says the favourite part for her is right here outside the house in front of that beautiful BMW statue. She said she was going to do some nice donuts for everybody, and gets it wrong unfortunately.
Yeah,
too much.
Yeah.
Oh, takes a barrel over.
Yeah.
Oh, it takes the back bumper off the car now. Very, very common. You'll see these cars shed body panels. They're held on, well, mostly with zip ties, but some guys go the extra mile and use some Zeus fasters to hold the panels on. They're designed to easily be removed and easily fall off if you do make contact with it.
So I think Velcro would be the way to go there. It's just a nice tip of Velcro.
No, I hate that ripping sound. But now, from Tessa's point of view, she's rather blown in at the bottom of the hill. At what point do you think, I'll just abandon that? And in fact, she's already thought that. Do some more donuts here, entertain the crowd, come back another day or later today and get it right. There is a point at which you just go, I'm not taking the top prize, I'm here to entertain. And
100%, and that's what Tess does. Tess is an incredible driver. She is a stunt demo driver. She's recently done stuff for the Mission Impossible movie that's just come out. She's done stuff for Lufa as well. So she's here to have fun, and she said she's here to get a show on. And I think that's what Tess is going to do now. She's going to put the show on for everybody in attendance and really have some fun out there on the hill.
I wonder if she's thinking, you know what I'll do to entertain them? When I get at the top, I'll knock that barrel over, not knowing it's been over twice already.
So hopefully not. So Tess, as we can see now, on that cool ground, and still wants to have a drift as she comes up towards the finish line.
Still not scoring badly on proximity. I mean, 7 out of 10 on the way up the hill. That's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's not a bad score so far. I think she's going to do really well on the wall ride, and she's a very, very technical driver. So when it comes to that pylon barrel, I can see Tess getting that front wheel locked perfectly around that barrel and parking it exquisitively. So Tess now cooling the car down, just probably shaking off the nerves a little bit.
Trying to wipe the grin off her face, I think, actually, to be honest, the way she was coming past us. So here we go, wall ride coming up.
Yep, does a lovely job.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, just drops away.
Lights.
Yeah, just drops away ever so slightly there. Takes a wide swing into this now. You can see her on the foot brake, trying to get that car absolutely dialed around that barrel. Foot flat to the floor, destroying the tyres on the back of that Nissan Skyline. Gets straight out of it, taps the cone, and into the parking spot. Not a bad job for Tess.
If you're going to hit a few things, hit all of them. Get those out of the way, and then the next run will be a real golden one.
So there we go, Tess Whittock going to finish off the last of those tyres up the top of the hill.
Good to see the grandstand packed on the top left side of the screen. The people in the VIP club, well, you can see them to the tyre smoke at the moment. They've still got about, probably half the field still to come up the hill.
Yes, there is.
And they've been entertaining us royally, but who's top on speed?
Moment to hand. Up next is Northern Ireland's very own Kevin Quinn in the Quinn's M Sport S15. This car built, as I said earlier on in the broadcast, just 8 weeks from a bare shell to what you see now making its way up the hill. There's a Mark IV Toyota Supra, 2JZ underneath the bonnet, 3 litre, 24 valve, 800 horsepower. And Kevin Quinn, renowned for building some of the cleanest cars you'll see on the drifting grid. And Kevin Quinn had some issues yesterday with the rear brakes. It still looks like he's still trying to find the balance in this brand new car. As Kevin Quinn fires down outside the house, gets it done. Just about keeps it on the tarmac.
Well, and again, getting the feel for the car and developing it as you start to actually use it in anger as opposed to fiddle with it in the workshop. That's something every racing driver or every racing motorcyclist understands. Nothing is perfect out of the box, and even if it is, it can be more perfect, and that's all part of the development of this car.
100%, yeah. We always talk about seat time with drifting. It's all about being in the car, getting that feeling, that sensation you were talking about earlier, Martin. You know, learning the car. We always like to say we're learning the quirks, because you drive your road car every day, you know the noises it makes, you know the way it turns into a corner. When you drive a race car 4 or 5 times a year, you kind of really don't get those feelings. It takes a long time. So the more these guys are behind the wheel of the car, the more they understand them. And these guys, they're super professional, they understand them, but again, it still takes them that little bit of time to get used to these new chassis.
Just a thought, is there anywhere where they do Driftkanas and drift events where the conditions are really, really cold? Because I can presume that throws a whole new curveball into the mix.
We've been very fortunate this year in the Drift Masters European Championship. We've been blessed with weather so far. We went to Mondello Park in Ireland for round 1. We've just done Austria. Exquisite weather. There's 2 ends of the playing field. These guys either like it as it is today or nothing else.
Yeah.
Because
temperate, yeah.
We was in Austria last weekend. It was 32 degrees outside the car. The drivers were reporting it was over 60 degrees by the time they get the overalls on, the fire protective helmets, the boots, the gloves, the whole show. They saying the cars were so hot it was unreal. Luckily, we don't really go to anywhere that's too cold. We're off to Sweden next week for round 3, and the guys are saying the weather there quite stable, 18-20 degrees, so not too bad.
Yeah, I, like everybody else, you don't want it to be too hot because the tyres suffer and the drivers suffer and the cooling suffers, and when you've got 1,000 horsepower under the bonnet, everything needs cooling.
Exactly that.
And too cold, well, yeah.
Now, Kevin's rather lost it there at the top of the hill. There's supposed to be 3 donuts around the barrel with the illuminated lights on, but not illuminated as yet. And is he? Well, he's just backed out of it completely. He's not doing the parallel parking, but you know, as you said, 8 weeks ago this car didn't exist, so that is a truly phenomenal job.
Yeah, I think Kevin Quinn had an issue there, maybe a drive shaft. Very, very common for these guys to break the drive shaft because you're locking the rear wheels. It's easy to slip off the clutch and just instantly break a drive shaft. As you can see on the start line, it is our superstar from the VT, James the Machine D.
You say superstar, he's just the bloke driving the car. He wasn't superstarring in, that was you.
With those slow-mo edits, I'm gonna never live that down with my friends.
Milk that for all that you've got.
Well, you want to get spectacular. This is going to be the man to watch. It is James Deane. He is the 18 international drift championships underneath his belt. He is one of the most decorated drifters in history. He holds a Guinness World Record for the longest tandem drift. He is an incredible talent behind the wheel and a man that had a queue of people waiting to see him earlier on.
And he's about the most laconic motorsport character I've ever met. He gets out of the car, it's as though he's literally just parked in the company car park.
We always say it's like James Deane's going down the post office to pick up a letter or a newspaper because he's always so chilled. There's no stress. A very, very nice young man. And look at this from James Deane, full commitment as he makes his way up the hill. He said, once again, another driver saying that the Foz hill climb is one of the most favourite events of the calendar. He says every year he looks forward to that invite, and you can see James Deane making the most of his trip up the hill past the Flint Wall.
Well, actually he's making the least of it because he's comfortably the fastest guy we've seen so far all the way from those barrels. So he is carrying a lot of speed, and again, that's all part of it. You know, when you're on a track, particularly when you're tandem drifting, when you're battling against another car, being able to match their pace is, and then match their moves is a really important part of a drifter's art.
Yeah, and what these guys are very, very good at doing is knowing what the driver is going to do in front, because they are inches. Sometimes we have wing mirrors touching wing mirrors, and they are 80 kilometres an hour going around a corner. They're very, very good at understanding the next move of the driver and anticipating their move.
Yeah.
So there we go, James Deane illuminates all of the proximity sensors on that wall ride now, going to get into the barrel, and you can see those green LEDs flickering as they make their way up that pylon. No doubt James Deane's going to get the top one done. There we go, he goes for one more spin around. He's going to get lost in the smoke for the wall ride. Can he park it perfectly? Oh, and he doesn't, he has to work at it again. James Deane getting the job done.
Well, that is a man at the top of the tree, and again, I'm sure hear an interview from him shortly, but he never, ever fails to impress at Goodwood.
No, he doesn't. He is the superstar of the show. So there we go, door open, and I think one of the last of our drivers is Paul Smokey Smith, the 2012 British Drift champion in this incredible Maxxis Tyres Jap Speed GT86. Makes his way down. Look how close he gets the back bumper to the hay bales there. Paul Smith not scared to throw this short car around.
GT86, not a widely used drift car, and actually, maybe you touched on it right there. Shorter wheelbase, you know, the even E30s, E30, 36, 46 BMWs. Obviously, the Sylvias are very, very common, and the Supras coming in, but not many GT86s.
More in Europe. We find a lot more of these cars scattered around Europe. They're becoming more and more popular because now the price of a used GT86 is coming down, and the aftermarket packages now available are becoming more and more frequent. These cars becoming more affordable for these guys. I explained yesterday, these guys pick up a road car, strip them down to a bare chassis, and then fill them with all the gear necessary to do the job. And now 86 is becoming more popular because of how short they are on the front. It's more of an understanding of where the wheels are as a competitive car. So you get the feeling that you're sitting on the rear wheel almost because they're such a short chassis, but the wheel is so far back, you don't have to worry about that, having that perspective of how far away the back bumper is.
The overhangs are much shorter, aren't they? Definitely.
Again, another quick run, about 2.5 seconds down on the pace at this point of James Deane, but neat and tidy. But of course, it could all go horribly wrong at the top of the course. Through the finish line, but then the run through those hay bales and into the top paddock area. And this could be a point at which he picks up or drops off. Let's see.
Yeah, Paul Smith really needs to nail that wall ride, get the pylon done and park it perfectly, and then I think we'll give him a really good score for this, because such a nice young man.
And a brilliant start, those first two corners, just
incredible.
Immaculate, so super sideways through turn one.
Who do you think bought Ian beer last night at dinner?
Nobody yet.
Oh, what?
We'll find out tonight who scores higher tomorrow.
Well, listen, judges are easily bribed. Cake, absolutely a given. So cake in the commentary booth, and a beer Ian's way in the evening definitely is worth an extra 500 points.
Well, look at this. Paul Smith gets it done. Absolutely clinical. 4 lights on the wall ride done, and look how quickly he gets those lights illuminated on there. Parks it perfectly. I'm going to go for a big score. I'm going to give him a 750.
I'm loving that. And that just flowed all the way off the wall, right around the pylon, parked perfect. That was just one long fluid move. No recorrections at all. That was fabulous.
Now we're on the stud bikes we had up the hill earlier with the rider leaning down and touching on when he was cornering. But the show, it doesn't matter whether you're at the top of the hill, the middle of the hill, in front of the house, or up in the top collection area. And that is something I certainly couldn't do intentionally when I was a lad.
No, I mean, you say that these drifters are kind of crazy. I think these guys on these bikes, what they do is absolutely phenomenal. We talked about balance.
Yeah.
This now is another level again, because the balance to keep these bikes drifting, on one half is just phenomenal.
Again, we're looking at a further lack of imagination of what could go wrong. At least with your guys, there are 4 wheels. You don't fall off a car.
No, 100%.
He's got 2. Frankly, he's using 1 wheel. Most of the time.
Look at this. Unbelievable. The skill, the talent that these guys have, and to get these cars done, unbelievable.
Well, let's go up to the top of the hill, because Ed Foster is live with the Drifting Stars.
Kevin Quinn, it was looking like a pretty good run there, but a few problems in the top paddock.
Yeah, the car had a water temp limit, so the car wasn't getting too warm, but the limit set too early, so we'll have to go and turn that off for the next one. We were enjoying it up until that.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 in my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.